Good morning, traders. Welcome to the Bookmap Platform Details webinar. This is Bruce at Bookmap. The risk disclaimer: trading futures, equities, and digital currencies involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. All right, so what we do in this webinar here is define what Bookmap is, who uses it, how to connect it, how to subscribe to it, some of the Bookmap resources online. So just getting through some of the basics, and then jump into the platform and look at some of the basic order flow that Bookmap is displaying. That's basically the advantage that you're getting, is the unique visualization properties of Bookmap to be able to uncover specific order flow phenomena that others cannot. And that's the advantage that you get. So what we're going to need to do is define those elements and then look at the basic order flow. Okay, so this is the webinar that's open for the public. There is another webinar following this that's at 11 a.m. Eastern. In that webinar, we go through advanced concepts in order flow. We've moved much more beyond the basics, and there's a real big distinction between the two. I'm going to give you the link to that today so that you guys can get a sneak peek into it. We usually do that on Fridays, but this is a shortened week. There are no webinars tomorrow or Friday. So the next webinar is going to be on Monday. All right. So it's due to the Thanksgiving holiday here in the United States. So here is the link to the advanced webinar. It's in the chat there. So if you want to attend that, then click on that link and register, and then you can come in and get a peek into our educational process. That educational process comes with the subscription. Okay, you've made the decision to learn more about order flow, and then we're here to help. There's a 4-part educational course. It's always accessible online. Then you also get access to the advanced order flow webinars. That's where we really break it down into details. You guys can ask questions about what's going on. And we go through a process, objective analytical process, understanding what Bookmap is showing us. And then we start to anticipate price movement based on what we read. Okay, so order flow, once you start to understand this process, you can integrate that into any sort of trading methodology. Okay, order flow itself is not a trading methodology, it is just understanding what's going on in the market. Okay, you're going to look at so many different methods of trading that order flow can help. All right, so if you're a scalper, you're looking for some sort of imbalance or some sort of exhaustion or absorption or reversal or pattern, Fibonacci levels, whatever, doesn't matter. We're going to go over order flow that can help any trader with any trading methodology. Okay. All right. So that said, let's jump into the website here and introduce you to Bookmap. All right. So we'll scroll down a little bit here. And so what is Bookmap? All right. Let's define it. We are a software trading platform, just like any other platform out there. We're not a derivative of time, price, or volume. Okay. In fact, what we're showing is very simple data on the screen in a very accurate way, though. And we're giving you full market depth or full, well, it depends on the data provider there, but we're giving you the auction, the best bid and offer, and then the transactions as well, okay, historically and current. So you can really understand those 3 details, and that's exactly what indicators do, is look at those 3 market points and then make some sort of derivative of it. Okay. Instead, we're just showing you the market, and that's what's easier to read. There's no lagging indicator or anything. All right. So that's what Bookmap is. Let's continue on. Okay. And who is it for? Well, day traders, scalpers, swing traders, and quants. And we've come from this quant environment, looking at sub-second levels. That's how the software was originally developed. And we were looking to enhance the performance of our own algos in the high frequency environment. Okay, and we came up upon this way of visualizing the data to understand really what happened in the market. Okay, a very truthful and objective way of understanding what happened in the market. Okay? And that's where Bookmap came from. Now, we noted that markets are very fractal, and as we zoom out, that same information is very applicable on much higher timeframes. So we're going to look at Bookmap on many timeframes today, especially in the advanced webinar. So hope you can attend that. And we're going to show you how you can use this same properties or same information on the lower time frames that will apply to the upper higher time frames. All right, let's continue on. Connectivity, this is important because you need to connect to the markets. We connect to futures, US equities, and digital currencies. Digital currency data is free, okay, so no worries there. For US equities though, and for futures, you will need to provide the data. Okay, we're a software trading platform. We're not a broker. We're not a data provider. All right, so let's go over the equities. How do you connect? DX feed is the method. Okay, it's the only method right now for connecting to US equities. All right, so you will need to subscribe first to Bookmap, and then you will need to subscribe to the US equities, right, in DX feed. For futures, you have a variety of options here. You can connect with Rhythmic, CQG, Gain Capital, Transact, IQ Feed, Nanotick, and Cedro. All right, so many options there. You can also connect via the API of TTX Trader Pro, Ninja 7 and 8, and Interactive Brokers Traders Workstation. So you can connect with the API of these three platforms. However, it's recommended to bypass their platform completely, get cleaner data directly from the data provider like Rhythmic or CQG. All right, let's go over the pricing and package options here. You can subscribe monthly by clicking here, yearly, and then you get a 20% discount, or you can subscribe lifetime as well. All right, and you can see there's a few different options here. Let's go over the monthly version. Digital and global versions. Okay, now you can see the digital version is free. This is a fully functioning copy of Bookmap. However, it only allows you to connect to one digital currency at a time. Okay, that's it. If you want more digital currencies, or you want to connect to US equities and futures markets, then I would recommend trying global for a month and see if it works for you. Okay, it's 49 bucks. See if get it for the entire month, cancel at any time. You can cancel a minute after you purchase it. You'll still get it for the month and give it a shot. If it doesn't work, then you're all set and just move on. Now, the global version allows for that connectivity to those other markets. Global Plus allows that as well, but you also get access to our proprietary add-on indicators. Okay, there's a host of them we've put together that look at very specific order flow phenomena. These aren't your regular MACD or Bollinger Band type of indicators. Okay, for example, the LTT here stands for Large Lot Tracker. This identifies larger players in the order book. Okay, we can see how they might be affecting the book, stacking, spoofing, or maybe they're just bullying the book with large size. Okay, we'll be able to see them. The opposite of that, iceberg detector. This indicator here, well, our algo can detect when icebergs are being used. So we can see them. There's something that we do that mimics, for example, data from the CME, just how an iceberg operates. Well, we mimic that, and we can see the iceberg materialize on the Bookmap chart. Okay, these are larger players. They don't want to show their hand. They don't want to show how much liquidity they have. Therefore, they'll use a hidden order or iceberg. Okay, there's some imbalance indicators, a correlation tracker, and the ability to trade from the Bookmap chart. All right, so that's the different versions. Let's go through some of the resources. So if you want further information, I would start here at the blog on our website. There's all sorts of information here, articles, interviews with traders, resources here, materials, reviews of Bookmap, etc. So it's pretty rich information here or data, and yeah, please take a look. All right, our Twitter feed as well. All sorts of information here. You can see the tweet here about our new forum. If you want to check out our new forum, click here. And then our YouTube channel. Okay, a lot of videos here. Here's our Pro Trader webinar series. This is a special event we held a couple of weeks ago. If you want to look at how some of the professional traders out there utilize Bookmap. All right, some intro videos here if you're new to check out that, and then scroll down a little bit further. Order flow education videos here. I would recommend you watch these here. This is the advantage you really get with Bookmap. It's what Bookmap uncovers and really starting to understand order flow here in detail. And this is, like I said, the advantage that you're going to get here. This is what we go over in the advanced webinars every day. All right, and then features and components, lots of new videos in here. So even if you're an advanced Bookmap user, I'd recommend watching some of these. And let's just click on this here, and I'll take you to the playlist. Okay, in the playlist, there's all these videos here we've just recently done. They're very short. You can see like 2.5 minutes, 3 minutes, etc. About the columns, all the different columns, about the heat map, about the volume bars, the volume dots and settings, etc. So yeah, please take a look at some of these and explore a little bit if you want more information about some of the functionality on Bookmap. All right, for those of you who came in a little late here, let me give you the link to the advanced order flow webinar. Okay, that will be today in about 17 minutes or so. It's because we do not have webinars tomorrow and Friday. Okay, so we're going to give you access today to the advanced order flow webinar. That's for subscribers. Okay, well, let's jump into Bookmap and see what's going on. Okay, we'll look at the higher time frame in the advanced webinar. Instead, we're going to define these elements on the Bookmap chart, what they are, how to read them, what they're showing, and then we'll get into the reading of the order flow. Okay, just some of the basics here, and ask questions. I'm going to close up some of the add-on indicators here so we don't get any confusion. Point of control, our view app. I just closed up our cumulative volume delta subchart as well. And our iceberg detector, I'm also going to turn that off. So we're just going to look at the basic Bookmap chart, okay? And define the elements on this chart here, okay? And like I said earlier, there's 3 elements here. Oh, some good stuff already. Nice move into this kind of 55 area. And again, a little bit lower here. Just shy of the figure down here at 2650. Never reached that, about a point away or so. And then the move back up to the upside above the cash open, up into high liquidity up here. Okay, what we're looking at here, and I'm going to cover it, don't worry, but this heat map here, all this is, and it just gives us a lot of insight to why this move occurred here to the upside into high liquidity up here. Okay, it's not because there's a fib level and all sorts of fib traders are putting their orders up here to sell. There might be some, but there's all sorts of other traders involved as well. This is why price has stopped up here, because it's all of this liquidity. We did not trade in or through it, and there was not enough buyers. Okay, so we're getting a lot of insight here by just understanding this heat map. And I'll define it here, but we'll get into the details in just a second. All it is liquidity. It's just showing you your dome, your depth of market. Okay, where are they lined up in the order book? All right. In fact, let's zoom in and we'll define it right now. So it's pretty clear, and we can scratch that one off the list. This white line here separates the historical market here to the left, and then the current market here. This is the best bid and offer and this number is the last traded volume. Here we have our price ladder, and then we're going to cover just the COB column here. It stands for current order book. All right. Well, the numbers here represent liquidity. These are traders lined up here to deal. These are limit orders. Okay. They want to be sellers above current price, and they want to be buyers down below. And that's it. It's just the dome. Now, these numbers are always changing, as you can see. Well, what we do in Bookmap is we take these numbers and we transform it into a heat map. Okay, so that's a graphical representation of the numeric values in the order book. That's all it is. Areas of high liquidity, as you can see down here, we see a little more liquidity in some of these areas here, and we're just trading into them right now, and they're just transacting. Okay, we'll go over this in just a second here, because this is an advantage to see this information here, that they stayed in the book and transacted. Anyway, very high liquidity, and we just traded into it. Okay, very quick move here, right? And this is the S&P. So reading this information in a DOM can be challenging. We'll go over this whole thing here, because this is a pretty common scenario or setup here that we see, or occurrence. Anyway, it's the heat map. The scale of this heat map here is up at the top. You can see that red, orange is the highest liquidity, then followed by yellow, white, blue, and then black or dark gray is the lowest amount of liquidity in the book. All right, so here's areas of high liquidity. Okay, up here at 60, well, they just pulled, and then up here at 59 on the offer, and then they're down here on the bid. All right, so just by looking at the heat map, we already have a good understanding of the auction in the DOM. Okay, you don't have to look at the numeric values any longer. So we can just we can understand it by the heat map colors. Okay, you can adjust the heat map in all sorts of ways here, to look at more information or less information. It's really up to you, what you prefer. But this is a setting that works pretty well for me. And yeah, so that's the heat map, right? Now, the interesting part here, and this is the data visualization that is unique, is we take the heat map. When the numbers change, the heat map changes, but it's recorded and plotted onto the chart historically. So now we can understand what happened in some of these areas here. Where are they bidding and where are they offering historically? So let's zoom out. Okay, now we're starting to read and understand this bigger picture that I was looking at earlier. Okay, we're able to use now the DOM on much higher time frames. Okay, well, here they are in the book. Okay, buyers here, here, and here. And it looks like they got filled in these areas here. And that's why we see that we see the other buyers, aggressive buyers, step in and move price to the upside. We're not finding sellers down here any longer. These guys are absorbing the selling pressure. Okay, and where do we trade to? We trade to another area of high liquidity up here on the offer. Okay, it's just how the market works, understanding these areas of liquidity, and the market is attracted to high liquidity. It needs it. Okay, high liquidity can also skew the auction, but we'll cover maybe more of that in the advanced order flow webinar here in about 10 minutes. Okay, so let's zoom in here and let's just cover this one more point, and we'll go over the other two elements on this Bookmap chart. Okay, so we just traded, we saw this happen in real time here. Okay, traded very quickly into this area of high liquidity. And let's zoom in here. And this area here transacted. There's no question about it. Okay, there were, let's see, we can use the data tip tool. There were 288 contracts here at this time. Okay, and we see that actually 500 traded altogether. Okay, and very, very quickly these traded as well. Very high liquidity, and we see all the transactions that actually took place here. It was enough transactions on the sell side to move it through that area and trade lower. And that's exactly what it did here. All right, so a lot of traders, why I'm showing this here is because we want to understand the distinction. A lot of traders will look at the DOM and the liquidity, and they'll say that it's all fake. It doesn't have any meaning. That's just not true. It has tremendous meaning. We just need to understand it. We see high liquidity here, and they stay in the book and they transact. We just found buyers, okay, at this level. And that's just fact. That's just, we know that, okay? What kind of effect has it had? Well, you can see that it has absorbed all of the selling pressure, okay? That's why price is back up to where it just dropped from up here. Okay? Let's see if the aggressive buyers pick up the movement here. Big green dots is what I'm looking for in this scenario to move it back up to 61, and then maybe even up to like 63, and ultimately, you know, as possibly as high as like 67 and 68 up here. Okay. All right. So anyway, important to understand that. What is the liquidity that has no intent to trade? What does that look like? Well, here, right here. They're in the book here. Price starts coming down and they pull their liquidity. They do not want to be buyers any longer. They're telling us this. Okay, and they're telling us down here as well, like a point lower. They don't want to be buyers here. Okay, even another point lower, you can see oh, they pull that liquidity, and we don't find sellers either here, right? And so we just kind of go sideways for a bit, and then interesting stuff here. This is more for the advanced class, but found some buyers here. And looks like maybe they got stopped out really quickly here into this area, and now we're finding buyers again. Okay, that scenario is not quite playing out yet. Okay, looking for big green dots up here though, right up here around 60. That's where we need to find the buyers. If we don't, we have that possibility to rotate right back down into 57 here. Okay, not really seeing too much of a advantage at the moment, but that's the two possible scenarios here, and we'll see who picks up one side or the other here. The CVP, it looks like Delta. No, Evgeny, this is, let's go to the current market again. CVP stands for chart range volume profile. So it's giving me the profile here of the viewable range in my chart. So watch when I zoom in here, okay? You can see now as the chart range or the volume profile has shifted to give me the info for what's in my chart range. Okay, SVP stands for session range volume profile. Okay, you can split this out. There's all sorts of options in here to configure the column. So for example, if you want to look at split it out and look by the aggressor, right? A lot of traders, especially scalpers, like to look at this, the volume this way. Or you know, you can look at just bars only, bars and numbers, or numbers only if you want. Okay. Thomas, am I looking at 63 because that's where volume is? Well, it's not volume, it's liquidity, and yeah, 63 3/4. Yes. Well, you know, there's a few different things. We'll go, if you attend the advanced webinar, we'll be covering it. So I spent quite a bit of time here just going over the heat map. Because that's usually the one that most traders have kind of a harder time understanding because they've never really seen this before, okay? And understanding it as well. I mean, this whole thing, look how this is playing out. Yeah, this was the scenario we were looking for, okay? And I don't really like it, to be honest. I mean, this is what we're looking for, right? But we're looking for, in this area here, we want to see more volume up above this 60 area. Well, we got it here. It's not very strong. You know, I don't like it. It's not very distinctive. When we see a distinction here, we can get really nice moves. Okay. Therefore, I'm looking for this maybe to go kind of back and forth and sideways here. Or, I mean, there's still another possible scenario that the buyers step in up again here at this kind of 61 and a half and really step it up. Okay. If they do, then that 63.75, 64 area is a high probability of transacting. All right, so yeah, I mean, it's kind of doing what we, you know, what we thought, but you know, I just don't see much of an advantage here. Anyway, these are the kind of scenarios we go through in more detail. All right, so we've gone through transactions, knowing really what occurred in some of these areas. Let's go through the other two elements, and then Thomas, I'll answer your question. We'll zoom in here, and the other two elements on this chart, and why they're advantageous as well. It's just best bid and offer. Okay, in fact, let's go back to the current market. Here's our current best bid and offer, right? And this number is the last traded volume. Okay, now it's just recorded best bid and offer. There is no bar chart or information of you know, aggregated data in a period. And that's an advantage. And it is because, like, look at this little trending environment, this micro trending environment. Okay, we can see this here. Okay, if we look at a candlestick chart, here's what it looks like. You know, we don't see it. So it's because every 5 minutes we're getting another bar, and we're only getting 4 data points for that 5-minute period, because it's all aggregated within that 5-minute period. Okay, so we don't really know what it looks like. We don't really know that the buyers are starting to take this a little more volume at higher highs here. Okay, it's starting to trend to the upside a bit. Okay, so that's the advantage of why we're showing best bid and offer. Now let's look at the transactions. Okay, the volume dots here are the transactions. Let's make the size a little bit bigger. Okay, and the way that we display it here is the aggressor, right? A green dot is an aggressive market buy that crosses the spread and transacts on the best offer. They take liquidity off of the best offer. The red dot is the market sell. Okay, someone hit the market sell button, crossed the spread, and took liquidity off of the best bid. Now you can see here clearly that there's some of these dots here are showing both buying and selling. That's because there's so many transactions that took place here. We need to give you the overall shape and delta of what occurred here. So in this dot, for example, we know, and we can use the data tip tool here, we can see the date, the time, the spread here, and then the volume. So this is for a volume of 65. Happened very, very quickly. And 3/4 of it, though, we know is aggressive buying, and about 1/4 of it is selling. Let's continue to zoom in. So like I mentioned earlier, we came from that HFT environment. This is what really occurred. Okay, and we're still, looking at pretty high time frames, to be honest, here in the HFT environment. This is a rather, it's really slow. But we can continue to zoom into these areas and see exactly what transacted here. Okay, now we're starting to look at millions of seconds. Okay, very, very accurately recorded here, all the market data. Okay, for a volume of 30 in this little area here. Okay, now, but note how when I zoom back out, it's all been aggregated into a bigger dot. Now that's just visually though. Okay, all the data is still here. Okay, but we don't trade off of microsecond or nanosecond levels. Okay, so when we zoom out, we get an overall shape of what's going on in those areas here by looking and studying the dots. All right, so those are the 3 elements on the chart. We're looking at very simple and straightforward data, and only 3 elements here. But we're looking at very precisely recorded and starting to really understand really what occurred. Okay, where's the auction? Okay, both current and historical. Okay, what about the best bid and offer? We're not showing aggregated data. Okay, we're showing really what happened, so we can see microstructure, or even not so microstructure, but we can still see what's occurring and how traders are transacting in that structural area. Okay, this is looking a little bit better on the buy side. Let's see if they can continue to lift this up, maybe into 65 now. See how they pulled here at 64 or 63 3/4? Okay, we just need, what we're looking for here is that we need to find more buyers though, and we need to find them up here. Okay, for them to push this higher. Okay, and we're starting to find some here. Okay, so it's starting to transact a little bit. Well, we need to see more. All right, and this is pretty typical in all markets, but especially the S&P. We're getting another rotation here. In fact, we might even get a reversal here. We just see how this guy came in with really high liquidity here and skewed the book. This is a bully here. Okay, 663 contracts jumped in here, so it's looking like it wants to break out. And then this guy is spoiling the party right here. Right. And if we get enough sellers now, these guys are going to be trapped, all right, and they're going to be covering probably at some of the lower lows here. So if that's the case, then scenario number 2 would be trading back down into 57 and below. Actually, I'm looking for it to go below the swing here. All right, so anyway, let's see, would stops be around 58 behind that high liquidity? That's really up to you, Thomas. How you want to manage your trades depends on your time frame, your risk profile, etc. Okay, we'll cover some of that in the next webinar. So here's the link to that. We got to go. So if you just came in late, hurry up and click on that link for the chat in the chat there. If you'd like to attend our advanced order flow webinar, it starts in just a minute. Okay. All right, guys. We'll see you there.